Alysa Liu will not be stepping onto the ice in Prague this March. And if you've been following her journey, you already know exactly why that news hits differently than any other withdrawal announcement in recent figure skating memory. Fans across the globe have been reacting to the confirmation that Liu is officially out of the 2026 World Figure Skating Championships. And the response has been everything from pure understanding to genuine heartbreak, depending on who you ask. But to really understand why this decision is generating so much conversation, you have to understand just how significant this moment is in the context of where Alysa Liu stands right now in the sport, and honestly, in the world. The World Figure Skating Championships this year are set to take place from March 24th through March 29th in Prague, Czech Republic. It is one of the most watched and most celebrated events on the entire figure skating calendar, sanctioned by the International Skating Union, the governing body that oversees elite competitive skating at the highest level. Every year, the best skaters on the planet gather at Worlds to prove themselves on the biggest non-Olympic stage the sport has to offer. It is where legacies are built, where careers are defined, and where champions are made. And this year, for the first time in a while, it will happen without one of the brightest stars the sport has ever seen. Alysa Liu is 20 years old. Let that sink in for a second. 20 years old, and she is already the reigning world figure skating champion. She already has an Olympic gold medal from the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics hanging around her neck. She is already the kind of athlete that casual sports fans stop scrolling for, that little kids look up to, that experienced figure skating analysts struggle to find the right words to describe. At 20, Alysa Liu has already accomplished what most skaters spend an entire career chasing. And that is precisely why her decision to withdraw from Worlds this year, while completely understandable on every level, still manages to leave a noticeable void in the draw sheet for Prague. Now, let's be clear about something. This is not a scandal. This is not some dramatic fallout or controversy. Skaters pulling out of the World Championships in an Olympic year is genuinely not uncommon. The Olympic season is the most grueling, most demanding, most mentally and physically exhausting stretch any competitive skater goes through. By the time the games are over, many athletes are running on empty. The travel, the pressure, the media commitments, the appearances, the expectations, it all adds up in ways that people on the outside don't always fully appreciate. Coaches and athletes make these calls all the time, and the reasoning is almost always the same. The body needs rest, the mind needs space, and the long-term health of the athlete matters more than any single competition, even one as prestigious as the World Championships. But here is the thing about Alysa Liu specifically. Her situation coming out of the Milan Cortina Olympics is not just the standard post-Olympic fatigue story. The level of attention she has received following her gold medal performance has been extraordinary. We are talking about a young woman who was already a well-known figure in the skating world, but who has now crossed over into a completely different tier of public recognition. The kind of schedule that follows an Olympic gold medal at 20 years old is genuinely relentless. Appearances, sponsorships, media features, interviews, celebration events, official engagements. The demand on her time right now is immense, and making the responsible decision to protect her energy and not rush back onto the competitive ice is exactly the kind of mature, thoughtful move you would hope to see from someone managing a career with this much potential ahead of it. Her fans understand this. Most of them do, anyway. But understanding something intellectually and feeling okay about it emotionally are two very different things. And for the community of people who have fallen in love with Liu's skating over the past several years, and especially for the wave of new fans who discovered her during the Olympics and were desperately hoping to see her compete again as soon as possible, the news still stings. Because watching Alysa Liu skate is genuinely one of the most compelling things happening in sports right now. There is a quality to her performances that is difficult to put into words without resorting to superlatives that start to sound like exaggeration. She combines technical precision with a kind of effortless artistry that most skaters spend decades trying to develop, and she does it at 20 years old with a composure and a command of the ice that feels almost impossible for someone her age. When she is in a competition, you watch differently. You lean forward a little. You hold your breath at moments you don't even realize you're holding your breath. That is what her fans are going to be missing in Prague, and that absence is genuinely felt. With Liu out of the running, the title of world champion is now completely open. And that in itself is one of the most fascinating storylines heading into Prague. Whoever wins this year's World Championships will do so knowing that they claimed the crown in a year when the reigning champion wasn't there to defend it. And that comes with its own complicated legacy. It's not a knock on whoever wins. Winning the World Championships under any circumstances is an extraordinary achievement. But the conversation around this year's champion will inevitably include the asterisk of Liu's absence, whether that's fair or not. That's just the reality of how sports history gets written when the dominant figure in a discipline steps aside. But here is where the story takes an interesting turn, because while Alysa Liu will not be on the ice in Prague, the ISU has made it clear that her presence will still be felt throughout the entirety of these championships. The figure skating awards are one of the most anticipated elements of the World Championships each year. They are the skating world's version of a year-end honors ceremony, celebrating not just athletic achievement, but the artistry, creativity, and collaboration that make figure skating the sport it is. Coaches, choreographers, costume designers, and skaters themselves all get recognized, and the fan community plays an active role in the voting process. It is one of the ways the sport connects its audience to the competitive world in a meaningful, participatory way. And this year, Alysa Liu and the team around her are all over the nominations list. Start with the most visually iconic element of her Olympic performance, the gold dress. If you watched Liu's free skate at the Milan Cortina Olympics, and if you didn't, please do yourself a favor and find it immediately. You know exactly the garment we are talking about. It was not just a costume. It was a statement. It was the kind of outfit that feels like it was designed not just for the performance, but for the specific moment in history that performance was creating. The way it moved with her, the way it caught the light, the way it felt like an extension of the music and the emotion and the story she was telling on the ice. It was extraordinary. And now it has been nominated for Best Costume, which feels like the absolute minimum recognition something that memorable deserves. Then there is Massimo Scali, Liu's choreographer, who has been nominated for Best Choreographer. Choreography in figure skating is one of the most underappreciated crafts in all of competitive sports. The work that goes into designing a program, the way the movements connect to the music, the way the technical elements are woven into the artistic narrative, the way the skaters' individual strengths and personality are built into every transition and every gesture, is genuinely complex creative work. And when the result is something like what Liu delivered at the Olympics, the choreographer deserves to be recognized. Scali's nomination is well-earned. And then there is Philip Di Guglielmo, Liu's coach, who is nominated for Best Coach. Coaching an Olympic gold medalist is one thing. Coaching a 20-year-old to become the most talked-about figure skater on the planet while keeping her grounded, focused, technically sharp, and emotionally prepared for the biggest moments in the sport is something else entirely. The coach-athlete relationship in figure skating is one of the most intimate and demanding partnerships in all of sport, and whatever Di Guglielmo has built with Liu clearly works at the highest possible level. That nomination is deserved. Now, fans have noticed one thing that is conspicuously missing from the nominations list, and it would be dishonest not to address it. Liu's free skate performance, the one that won her the Olympic gold medal, the one that had arenas and living rooms and social media timelines completely losing their minds, was not nominated for Most Entertaining Program. And that is the kind of omission that gets people talking. Whether you see it as an oversight, a political decision, or simply a reflection of the subjective nature of these awards, it is a notable absence given everything that performance represented and the reaction it generated around the world. Liu's fans have not been quiet about it, and honestly, their reaction is understandable. But here is the important thing right now. The voting is open, and it matters. Fans can head to the ISU website and cast their votes for Liu and her team across the categories where they are nominated. The voting window closes on March 18th, so there is not a lot of time left. And if you are someone who watched Liu's Olympic performance and felt something, if that free skate moved you, if that gold dress made your jaw drop, if you found yourself thinking about Scali's choreography or Di Guglielmo's coaching in the days after, now is the time to make that appreciation count in a real, tangible way. The winners will be announced on March 29th, the final day of the World Championships in Prague. It is going to be a significant moment regardless of the outcomes. because these awards will in some way serve as the capstone of a figure skating season that Alysa Liu absolutely dominated, even if she will not be there in person to receive the recognition in real time. And that is maybe the most poetic thing about this entire situation. Alysa Liu is not going to Prague. She is not going to be standing on the ice at the World Championships, not going to be warming up in the arena, not going to be waiting in the kiss and cry for her scores. But her presence is going to be all over those championships anyway, in the open title that exists because she is the champion who chose not to defend it, in the awards nominations that carry her name and the names of the people who helped her achieve what she achieved, and in the conversations that will happen throughout that week in Prague about what the sport looks like now, in the post-Olympic gold era. That is what genuine greatness does. It reshapes the landscape around it even in its absence. And at 20 years old, Alysa Liu has already done that to figure skating in a way that is going to take the sport years to fully process. So if you are one of the fans who is disappointed about Prague, that disappointment is valid. It means you care about watching exceptional skating, and exceptional skating is exactly what Liu delivers every single time she competes. But take that energy, go vote on the ISU website before March 18th, and make sure the people who built this Olympic gold medal performance with her get the recognition they deserve. Because Alysa Liu may not be competing in Prague, but this is still very much her moment.